First of all, in this day and age, it is important for people to know what critical race theory is, because you have to know what it is to understand why there is an anti CRT movement, right? So let's start with what it is, the basics. So, first of all, critical race theory is a theory, it's a theoretical framework that was established at Harvard University. That is the first college, university ever established in the United States, early 1600s. Okay. So you already know where we were enslaved, right? And that campus was built on the backs of slaves. Okay. And it's a theoretical framework established at Harvard University Law School by individuals like Dr. Derek Bell, Dr. Kimberly Crenshaw. I know you heard of her, and a host of their colleagues, right? And so this was done, and they have been working on this in the 1960s, 1970s, 1980s, right? They were also working on it because of what they were also experiencing in
Mhm,
society, right?
mhm.
So the critical race theory CRT movement is it's a collection of activists and scholars engaged in studying and transforming the relationship among race, racism, and power. It's a way of looking at race. It's a way of looking at why, after so many decades and centuries since the emancipation, we have patterns of inequality that are enduring and stubborn. Now, the point of the critical race theory is to think and talk about how law contributed to the subordinate status of African Americans, indigenous people, and individuals who are traveling to our shores from Asia. Critical race theory is understanding why the greatest hopes of our republic are not being realized, even though these hopes were encoded in law. Critical race theory inherits the beliefs and hopes of Frederick Douglass and Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., who wanted the law to do for the freed people what the law did for enslavers. So basically, critical race theory is the conditions we need to be rescued from as human beings. I need you to understand that first. That definition alone, that didn't take what, a couple of minutes? Long. Can the GOP tell you that? No. And this is, and okay, and let me just say this. Let me back up before I start talking about the GOP. There are tons of tenets. Critical race theory is huge. We could talk about this for probably 5 days straight. So there could be a whole conference on critical race theory. Okay. But I chose, when I wrote my dissertation, I chose to stick with the basics, right? Meaning those four, me and you have talked about it, the tenets, right? So
Yep.
if racism is ordinary, business is normal, people of color are used to white folks not acknowledging it. And of course, we know this. We've had some wonderful white folks in our life, right? And some are more woke than others, but white people can just exist. That's something that I also learned from my pilot study. They don't have to think about color because they're not a person of color. They can just exist and go on because that is their experience. And then interest convergence, there is no motivation to remove racism, just no motivation to make any change. And then also, of course, social construction, people with the same traits, hair color, complexion, and then also with social construction, society uses it, manipulates it, gets rid of it when they see fit, or just because. In reality, this is a white man's America. I don't care what anybody says. We're on stolen land, but we are on the stolen land because you know why. I know what our forefathers did to my people. Forefathers, meaning for people who might not know what I mean, the first four presidents of the United States of America. They set the tone. That is why racism is so ingrained within every single thing that we do. And then, of course, lastly, I did the fourth tenet, counter storytelling, which is telling and amplifying the stories of people of color, of a culture, meaning individuals that are like minded, doing some of the same things. In my case, chief diversity officers. But I also put a take on that by also saying these are individuals counter storytelling the way that I did it, telling their story with care and compassion.